Did you just say 2 and 1? Like that's a thing?
Yeah,
2 and 1.
It's a
like a BOGO.
It's a BOGO.
We're having a BOGO on the
5,
ladies.
4, 3 BOGO.
A BOGO. So
BOGO on the. I don't know if I'm gonna say BOGO on the ladies.
On the ladies, I don't know.
On the ladies book.
On the ladies book. Oh, that sounds better.
Yeah,
I like it.
BOGO on the ladies book.
On poetry. On poetry.
Do not believe me. If you buy one book and be like, where'd I get my one free? I'm gonna be like, in your imagination. I can't. Hi, all right, anyway.
I'm G.
And I'm Ramona. And she remembered that we needed to introduce ourselves. High five.
Social distance, y'all, because COVID's still out here. Don't touch people.
Yes,
don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh my goodness. Although today I saw someone do a handshake and I was like,
did you
no. Like, I was like, what is this weird and strange custom from long ago? And then I sprayed my hand. What did I squirt with alcohol?
No, you.
As I watched this handshake go down. Anyway,
she's not supposed to like crack me up, but that's hilarious. And I would agree. I would probably be 100% there with you. I'd be like, let's spray just in case. Anyway, we both literary life guys with pop poetry. Yes, y'all. We even have just a little bit of wisdom to share with people. All right, so here are like the top 5, right? Ones that are on Audible.
17 books.
And I thought the books was bad with other life lessons. If you show, and I thought being grown up with easy, the old cover. Okay, that is awful.
The old back, not even the cover. It's the old back of the book. Okay, go ahead. And then we have.
If only I would meet a memoir, but I can't even with you right now. And say your books. Say your.
And the books that are for me that are on Audible are Widow's Web and Foreign Coffee. So if you want to see more of the books, like the rest of the 17,
you want to find out what your lady's doing, you can find out on www.andithoughladies.com. Yes, it's a new website. Yes, it's gorgeous. Yes, you should look at our logo and praise us. You should. You should. It's so nice.
And you think I'm the bad one today? All right. But that none of what we said right then is important. Besides maybe the there's no BOGO sale and come to our website. Besides everything else, none of that.
You're not here to hear about us. You're here to hear from my wonderful guest.
Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Alexis Winter. I am a casting director and I'm based in Los Angeles. I work mostly in film, some TV, and I used to work in the Southeast, primarily North Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans area.
Okay. So my first question was going to be what does a casting director do? But
the real question
is a narcissist thing. And now I'm going to ask my narcissism question earlier. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
I just want to know, what movie do you think you could put me in? Okay, that was a joke. Now the next question.
Really? I thought the real question was going to be like, what food do you miss from the like she said Atlanta, North Carolina, and Louisiana. Like those are food hotspots. What food do you miss?
Big time food hotspots. Well, from New Orleans, I loved oysters. I would eat raw oysters a lot. And fried oysters in general were like a big thing down there. I mean, you can't find that in LA the same way you can get it in the South, like that comfort food. And back before I was vegetarian, I loved like a crab boil or a shrimp boil. Like those were my favorites, especially because I lived at the beach in North Carolina. So like our seafood, it was just so good. I don't get that here.
Absolutely. Like well, we're from Maryland, and we've had a couple of people on that were from Maryland, and we talked crab cakes and crab squeals. We were like, if you're not serious, don't talk it with us. we gotta talk it, or we're not talking it.
It's true. I mean, like the crab cakes weren't even like a thing for us down in the South. So when I ate a good crab cake for the first time when I visited Boston, I was like, oh, it's a thing here. Like I get it now.
Right.
It's so good.
Right. Yeah. So
if your crab cake tastes like it has celery and bread in it, you're not eating a crab cake.
No, I don't know what you're eating.
It's like a crab salad that they've made into a patty.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly. Okay, so now we have to ask the real professional question.
Yeah, we do. I'm sorry.
I'll go for it.
So
what is a casting director?
A casting director is the liaison between production staff or directors, if they have one on board, and the actors. So we're basically the person who gathers all of the actors for a role, selects the ones that are the best fit, and then presents those to production staff. And then that's how they pick who they want to cast in the role. And we sort of guide them and have some input on it too. So it's like a teamwork effort to find the correct person.
Well,
That
okay,
seems like that might be a hard job.
I
Yeah.
wanted to know, like, how many times can you stand to hear a person present the same line?
It's tough. I mean, that's like the one thing that we talk about, especially in TV, because when you're finding like that, like recurring role or that, co-star role, you're seeing so many people for those roles. And it's the same scene over and over. So we'll break it up. We'll see like two different roles. So we're not seeing the same one all day, or I'll make myself take breaks if I have to, so you don't get burnt out. Because if somebody's really good, it's not as exciting if you're burnt out. Like you're just like, okay, they're fine, they're a select. But if somebody's really good, you want to have like a fresh brain to be ready to be like, oh yeah, I'm excited about this person. It's hard to do if you're just burnt out on the same role and the same lines over and over.
I've always wondered that. Like, first of all, I didn't know you existed, like casting directors, and then I was looking at credits and I was like, who are those people? So now I know what casting directors do, and I'm like, I don't know how they do it. I just, woo.
It's tough. I think local casting has it really tough. Like people that actually work as the local casting director in places like Atlanta, where it's such a hot spot right now. Because you're seeing like all of those co-star, guest star level roles, and you're just seeing the same lines over and over, and you're seeing so many people. And they don't get the same amount of like recognition, I think, as like Los Angeles or New York based casting directors and actors do. So I think it's a little bit more of a tough job because it's much more input and less recognition for it.
Now I hear often, a lot of times when I talk to actors about like getting with the casting director once. So I honestly, the first time I met a casting director, I'm like, I bet you they're going to be one of those people that are scary and they just sit behind the desk and just stare at you. And,
Yeah.
it's going to be one very intimidating interview. But then I interviewed a casting director, and they're like, "We are like the strongest advocate for actors." So I'm like, where does the casting director fall? The stern person or this advocate for actors?
Yeah, I think that stern stereotype must have come from like the 50s, back when they were like studio executives, because it, like every casting director I've met, they are on the actors' side. And often we're the ones advocating for more pay for actors, for more benefits for actors. I mean, I have a lot of issues myself right now with the actors union, with SAG-AFTRA, that I'm pretty vocal about, because I'm in the privileged position to be able to be vocal about SAG, because they don't affect me, they affect actors. So as an outside perspective, casting directors have that ability to say, hey, this is what I'm noticing from my end that I think could be improved for actors. Or maybe there's a really good actor who isn't perhaps as recognizable or as well known as another famous actor, but we sit there and go, oh my God, this actor's so good. They really need to be in this role. I know that's not the idea we originally had. We wanted to get like a bigger name here, but this person can really make this role happen. And then we've discovered somebody who will then go on to be like a famous actor. And that's also one of the fun parts of the job, is like discovering that next big name.
So how did you know you wanted to do this job?
It's funny that I started out in the Southeast because that was like the best place. It was much more accessible and easier to get into film there because the community is so much smaller. So I started off in extras casting, which is, I would say, one of the hardest jobs in film, because you're dealing with the masses and you're dealing with people who don't work in film, and it's not necessarily their career goal. It's something maybe they just do for fun. So you have people who just don't show up or just whatever. So extras casting was like my introduction to it, but I worked in a casting office for the Finn Cannons. And so I also sort of worked as like a casting assistant and kind of helped run sessions. And so it taught me a lot of the basics of casting. And so when I moved to Los Angeles, I had like an experience and a resume from another market, which was actually really cool, because then I had experience that a lot of people maybe don't have when they come into the LA film market. So I started doing that. So I don't even know if it was necessarily at the beginning a goal of mine. I've always been into film. When they started shooting like Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill and all those things in Wilmington, I was like, this is so cool. I wonder how I would get into like the film world. But at the time I was riding horses professionally and I had no idea how film worked. And I was actually getting into casting to help afford my horses. And so it became my job instead of like just something I did for money.
So now we definitely have to talk about
I was about to say, yeah. You said you professionally rode horses. I mean, were you on a polo team? Did you do dressage?
I wish it was polo. I did dressage. So it was like 3-day eventing. So it was dressage, show jumping, and cross country, which was really fun. So I was into that, and I was starting to get into a place where I had to sort of make a decision, like, am I going to focus on the horses or focus on film? And I chose to focus on film. It was the smarter choice. I think they're kind of similar in different ways. Like it really takes a certain mindset to become successful, I think, in both industries. But in the horse world, it's a very marketable industry. It's like golf. You know how there's like tons of people that watch golf as like a spectator sport, and there's this huge commercial industry and advertising around it. I think the same thing could exist for equestrian sports, but for whatever reason it doesn't. And so it's really hard to get sponsors. It's hard to get things paid for, and you're spending like $50,000 a year per horse minimum just to upkeep them and do the travel costs and all these things. So, um, in order to afford to do the horses, you really need sponsors, and it just became increasingly hard, or you had already had to have the money. It's a very elitist sport. So I was like, you know what? I don't really think that this is where I want to go with this career. It's definitely not the smart option for me right now. And I really enjoyed the film world. And so I just kind of shifted my focus onto film and found it much more rewarding in the end in a lot of ways. I mean, I miss riding horses full time, but it's just not going to be one of those jobs that feel secure or stable.
Wow.
And that's one of the things I loved about like learning about what casting directors do, because most of the time people are like, oh, film world, there's actors and directors and producers. And then I was like, there's casting directors.
Yeah.
Sounds cool and stable. Like, you know, there's constantly something new out there.
Mhm.
Sounds like a place you could get a real check and, you know, live a life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what is like one of the coolest stories that you have that you can tell about casting?
Well, one of my favorite stories that happened was when I was working on Ender's Game in New Orleans. It was a closed set because it was on the Michoud NASA base, which is like, you know, a government facility. So everybody that was working there, all of the extras, all of us, we all had to get passes, like government passes to get onto this NASA base. So it was really cool because we had like NASA badges and Ender's Game badges. It was awesome. And we had this stage set up there that we used. And it was like a working NASA base. So they were actually working out there too. It was really neat to see like all the space they had. And so you know, we had like all the extras were pretty consistent, since it was like, I don't know if you guys have seen Ender's Game or read the book, but it's a space station in space. So it's very contained, you know, like there's only that number of people. It's not like new people are coming in and out. It's like a space station. So we had a core set of extras, and they were basically like day players. They were there every day. They worked every day. They were the kids on set. They interacted with the actors. It was really cool. A lot of them have gone on to become actors, like Kelvin Harrison. He was an extra on Ender's Game, and now he's like this hugely successful actor. He's doing great. So, so I'd see him every day with his parents. We got his parents' passes, and we're on set. We're making breakfast like we normally do when we're there. And I'm toasting a bagel, and Harrison Ford walks up next to me and is like toasting his bagel, and you know, he says hi, and I'm like, oh hi. It's like Harrison Ford standing there toasting a bagel together on a Tuesday morning on the Michoud NASA base. Like, when is that ever going to happen in my life? Ever again. So it was just really cool experience. It was really fun.
Okay, we got one important question. Jay,
Yeah.
do you want to ask this
No,
question?
I'll let you ask.
No.
You-
Because
okay. So
I just asked it the last.
okay, fine. Crafty or craft services for y'all that don't know.
Yeah.
What is it like,
And how can we get
and
some?
how can we get on?
It's the best, right? Like, it's the best.
I read about it at 12 years old, and I was like,
We put it on our bucket list.
it went on my butt. I've done the Mediterranean and everything else. All I got left is crafty.
Yep. Well, you know, during the pandemic, they took Crafty away, and that was like the biggest thing that actors and production staff like were like, I miss Crafty. I miss having Crafty. And so what they started doing is they would just make like prepackaged meals that they would hand out on set, which was fine, but it's not the same experience. Like Crafty, one of my really good friends back home in Wilmington, North Carolina, I love her dearly. Vicki Lewis owns this really incredible craft services company, and she'll post on her Instagram like the stuff she makes for the crew, the casting crew, and it's like really fancy, like hors d'oeuvres, charcuterie plates, veggies and dips, like sandwiches, all this crazy stuff, wraps, tacos, like a Mexican fiesta style snack plate, like all these really cool things. And so they go around with these plates in the middle of the day and just like start handing out snacks to people. You can go out to any point in the day and ask for something. I want a granola bar, or I want an apple, or whatever. And they always magically have it. Like, they're just fully stocked. I mean, they're the heroes of set. They can change your mood. Hey, you want a soda? I've got all these sodas. Which ones do you want? Do you want coffee? We've got coffee machines set out. Go make a coffee. Like, they're just always there to like brighten your day, I swear. So anytime you were like, "Oh, I'm feeling a little down, I just want to go get a snack," you just go to Crafty, figure out what you want. There's like tables set out with like all the chips and candies you can imagine, like different juices and waters. And the really good Crafties like Vicky, they set out things like agua frescas. And it's just really fun to go and like see what they have each day because every day is different. They can make or break a set, I swear. I don't think Crafty's given enough recognition.
I don't know.
It's
We
the
got to
best.
watch them every time. We have them. We're like, hey, y'all.
If you were remotely connected, you'd be like, one day I wrote a screenplay, and they let me on for a day. I was like, how was Crafty?
Find Crafty. And the other thing that's great is in the mornings, they have like breakfasts, and you can go up and just say like, this is what I want for breakfast. And there was this one of my other Crafty friends, his name is Matt, and he would make these really good breakfast burritos on One Tree Hill set. So anytime I was on set, or even if they were just shooting on the stages and I was in my office, I would like walk back to go get a breakfast burrito because he made the best breakfast burritos. It was like the thing I look forward to. I mean, there's like Crafty is like the best. It's the best. It's underrated.
Thank you so much. Because some days, like, we had this producer roundtable, and we were like, oh, we want to ask something for ourselves, and all the producers were like, like bated breath. What are they gonna ask for? And we were like, Crafty. Somebody sneak me onto the set so I can have Crafty, and I mean all day. I don't mean like sneak me on for an hour. No, I mean all day. I want to be here all day. I just want to eat all day long. That's all I want to do.
And I'm gonna be embarrassed.
It was all like this, like exhale. Oh, we can do that.
We can do that. They were like, you need to set higher goals. We were like, no, there's no higher goal. There's no higher goal than eating well.
I'm exactly the same. Just set me up with some good food and drinks, and I will do as much work as you need, as long as I'm fed and I have coffee and some sort of hydration. I'm good.
Yes.
I mean, I just want to say quickly, we were so devoted to the idea that we actually wrote a script because no one snuck us on yet. So we were like, maybe we have to try to get there ourselves.
Maybe we have to write a script and just demand
so we're literally
to be on
through
set.
This entire process. We're going to be pitching soon, and it's really because we want Crafty. I don't want to be a
demand to be on set like one day, just one.
I just love that your story is going to be, yeah, we made a movie, whatever. We just really just wanted Crafty.
Like I'm gonna still be pulling out jelly beans. Like, look, this is what we got.
It was still
it's like 2 years ago, but we know jelly beans are still good.
Right. And because they let us on and we acted like we had no sense and bought all the pilots and all the Tupperware that we had in our whole house to come and get craft service.
Oh, it's so good. And then when you have a long drive home, you grab a couple snacks for the road for your drive home.
But like LA, I don't know.
Every drive is a long drive.
LA traffic.
You can be 3 minutes.
Kind of no matter where you are. It's just always a long drive.
Exactly. So before we go, I do have to ask the question that all the actors that listen to us are going to want to know.
And watch.
And
listen and watch.
And
watch.
Right.
And or watch.
I always forget that. Most actors listen.
and or.
That's true.
We're writers. We can use and or.
That's true.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So back to being professional. We slipped off for a moment. But the question is, what can an actor do to make sure that they kind of land a role
or stand out from the crowd?
As full casting director.
Yeah, we get this question a lot. It's like one of the big questions we get every Q&A. Like, how do we stand out? How do we stand out? I'm like, just give us a good audition. Like, there's no like real trick or shortcut. It's like, you just got to give us a good audition. Because if the audition isn't good, nothing else matters. Like, we can't hire you if your audition's not good. So the one thing I always tell actors is like network with other actors, do good classes, make sure that you are doing scene studies and you're understanding how to break down your scene in a way that makes sense for you, make it real. We want to see real people at the end of the day. We want to see you acting. So the more natural and grounded you could be, the more attractive that is to a casting director. So sometimes those big tricks or things they try to do to like add a button or add like a special thing onto it, it takes away from the scene. So I always tell people like, I have a big problem with the quote unquote coaches and teachers out there that are just selling so hard their courses and their classes and all these things. And their big thing is like, guarantee you'll book an audition. I'm like, you should never guarantee you're going to book anybody an audition because you don't know that. I mean, there is no trick to get an actor to book an audition. They have to be a good actor. I mean, full stop. So if the audition's not where it needs to be, then nothing else they do will matter. So that's always like my thing. It's like, just give us a good audition. If you give us a good audition, we'll never forget you. We'll remember you every time you pop back up and want you to audition again. Like, even if you don't book the role, that's the key part, is that if the casting director remembers your last good audition, every time you pop up in our submissions, we're going to select you to audition again, because we're like, they gave us a good audition. We trust them. We can rely on them to serve like good auditions in the future. So we're going to keep bringing you in. And then eventually the game of numbers, you're probably going to book something.
Exactly.
Wow, I
love this.
really liked it. That was like super practical.
Yeah.
Thank
So very practical.
I mean, like
Now,
super practical.
Now, for the impractical, I have to say, if you ever need a horrible actor that will just mess up all the lines, you can use my phone number.
Because truly, we're just there for class service.
Right?
That's
I mean,
another great
listen.
genre. I was like, hey, let's try that too.
Let's do all the things, all of them.
All right, I don't know if you want to let people know about where they can contact you, or do you know maybe want
Blog,
to do the
maybe.
follow on Instagram or a blog or something like that?
Yeah, Instagram is great. I'm just AW_casting.
All right.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
And taking out
You.
time. Yeah, this is valuable time.
This
to
is
take.
valuable time that you're doing. So thank you. We
So if you're
appreciate
watching it, rewind, watch it twice, because this is
it.
really
It was valuable time for her. It was valuable time. All right. So y'all can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughladies.com. While you're there, go to the bottom of the page and see the charities that we proudly support. Maybe you can support them also. We thank you in advance for that. And just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you.
You're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Will Nona
And Jade. Bye bye. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.